Hello, good evening, everyone. Uh, I was late today for a good reason, because I think I got the camera fixed. And then, I was doing one of my things and watching the YouTubes, and it turns out PragerU is, all over the place. And curiosity got me. I was like, how bad could it be? Holy cr- eh, Well, uh, um, bad? Let's just leave it at that. Hello. Um, I figured if I'm already doing a reaction video, this is upsettingly this is upsettingly how do I even put this? It's upsettingly terrible. Let's leave it at that. Like, um, starting out trying with like, hey, how do we deal with the homeless? Like they're a problem to be solved as opposed to people. I mean, I shouldn't have been surprised seeing how PragerU is on the right side of things, but anyway, let's go through this and just highlight how terrible this is. And I I just need to talk that I just need to talk that out of my system, and then we can kill a few things in general. Uh, and this shouldn't take long because it's a short video. Because yeah, and there's actually a source thing we have to look at also.
This is one of the most vexing public policy problems we face.
Okay,
If you live in a big city, especially on the West Coast,
it's loaded from the start.
what do we do about the homeless?
Okay, so there's a lot of phrasing in this that is just genuinely upsetting. What do we do about the homeless is one of those phrasings. Hey, Animus. I'm sorry, this is going to... I made a little mistake and saw this and it was just really like, what the fuck are people doing? I I can't believe people like that are for real. Because they're being terrible and I just gotta talk it out of my system how they're terrible. But yeah, so basically, their shtick for the whole thing is like they're framing homeless people as, well, scapegoats slash everything being their fault. And this is just like, you'd think they'd try to do it like with a bit of subtext or something. Anyway,
This is one of the most vexing public policy problems.
vexing public policy problem. Basically, Mr. Right Wing asshole is annoyed to have to endure that. It's terrible.
We face.
It's like,
If you live in a big city,
these people are for real.
you literally face
Oh yeah,
it every day.
this guy's from the Manhattan Institute, so it's always like blaming it all on the West Coast because libs. We'll get to that.
And every day it seems to get worse. Why? Let's start with a couple facts. First, the word itself is misleading. Homelessness is not primarily a housing problem, it's a human problem. The primary
Did you get that? This is ridiculous.
drivers of homelessness are drug addiction and mental illness.
Right. So we don't have to like help homeless people because they just, it's their fault for being addicts and or sick. So, you know, they're not homeless, they should just be sectioned.
According to data from UCLA's
Oh,
California
man.
Policy Lab, Approximately 3/4 of people living in cars, tents, and on the streets suffer from serious mental illness, drug addiction, or both.
I'm going to get to their source data about that. Also because they flat out lied in this. But
Second, despite these conditions, the homeless actually make rational decisions about where they want to live.
you catch that? Like, well, they're homeless, so they're complete. They're not real humans, but somehow they manage to be rational. Oh yeah. Oh my god. Like it is honestly it's confusing. They're confusingly right wing to like just friggin' them. Anyway, I need to talk it off my system. But yeah, so they're not they're like setting out to basically other homeless people because yeah they're drug addicts, gonna do the criminal thing, like all the everything. Which is why here they are already asserting, well, how would they actually be able to rationalize anything? They're complete morons, and not real humans, or our peers. But apparently they can think. Seriously, this is that vibe is. Ah, you just want to punch that guy.
Not surprisingly, they move to the most permissive environment they can find.
This, this is gonna come up later, in like 3 minutes. But seriously, it's well, yeah, nobody wants to have to deal with the police all the friggin' time, and it's apparently not like housing is available for them.
Attractive for the homeless, and they'll beat a path to your doorway.
Blaming the homeless for being homeless, blaming the city for having a homeless problem.
The Venice Boulevard underpass on the border of Los Angeles and Culver City brings home this point. It's one of thousands of concrete structures in Los Angeles County, but there's a curious detail. The Los Angeles side is full of tents, and the Culver City side is empty.
I mean, first of all, um, like, what exactly is the problem with the tents? um, that's it seems to be pretty much legal-ish according to like LA law. So yeah, I mean, if there's no shelters, at least let people have a tent.
Why? Because the two cities have different public policies. Los Angeles has effectively decriminalized public camping and drug consumption, while
It decriminalized public camping and drug consumption. Yeah, and the other city, like any God-fearing city, is is making it totally illegal to be to be homeless.
city enforces the law. This
Enforces the law.
that the homeless go where
It's funny how they paint that, because like, well, if LA decriminalized these things, then they are also enforcing the law by not bothering them at
the
least.
environment is the most permissive
Yeah, because you don't want
can be seen up and down the West Coast. In San Francisco County,
to also
it's
just warmer
estimated
and
that
stuff.
30% of the homeless migrated there after becoming homeless somewhere else. In the city of Seattle, that number is 51%. The San Francisco Chronicle estimates that hundreds of homeless individuals move to the Bay Area each year because of the perception that it is a sanctuary for people who are unwilling to participate in programs designed
Unwilling to participate in programs.
to keep them off
Yeah,
the streets.
because it's really their fault for being drug addicts, and like if you know, we, in our grace we would totally want to help them, but like those lazy bums aren't going to the programs.
At first glance, that
That's
seems to make no sense. Why would an individual with no shelter or stable source of income move to one of the most expensive cities in the country? But in the world of the homeless, it makes perfect.
um yeah, it's kind of nice not being like not having the police on your ass occasionally. Also, I mean, practically speaking, I would assume better tips.
sense. That's because they operate
Also
under a
warmer.
different set of incentives than the average citizen.
See? This opening is nasty.
In a research
that
survey of
this
homeless
the problem is he's he is getting the airtime and the people are buying into this crud.
residents in Seattle, 15% said they came to access homeless services, 10% came for legal marijuana, and 16% were transients who were traveling.
Yeah, I had the same things. I just gotta talk that out. Sorry,
But this dramatically
but
understates the
it's
biggest
actually
draw:
not a long video,
de
fortunately.
facto legalization of street camping, drug consumption,
We're
and
already
violence.
half through. Yeah, now they had
Former Seattle
crime.
Public Safety Advisor Scott Lindsay has shown the city is now home to a large population of
Like,
homeless, prolific offenders,
it's
people who
just
commit property
such a
crimes
prime example for being a terrible
but
narrative.
are rarely held accountable for those crimes by the criminal justice system. So, is ever increasing homelessness our inevitable
Yeah.
future? If our goal is to make life as
No,
attractive as possible for the
I hate
homeless,
that stuff.
the
Just
answer is yes. If our
I
goal
just
is to
gotta
actually help the homeless, the answer is
just
no. Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner
see that they have the freaking gall to go. Hey, we're not helping them.
yes. If our goal is to actually help the
But-
homeless in the future,
okay, okay.
if
I
our
just
goal is to make life as attractive as possible for the homeless, the answer is yes.
isn't that like making life as good as possible? Wouldn't that be always the goal? But of course, that's not actually helping because as long as they're because that's a different that's totally different. Helping is going to be like having a harsh hand.
No. Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner is a Democrat, but his approach
Also note that yeah, even Democrats are agreeing with us.
to homelessness is a world apart from his counterparts in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Seattle. It is simply not acceptable for people to live on the streets. It is not good for them, and it is not good for the city, Turner has said. Houston's policy is a perfect example of what Turner calls a tough love approach. The city has built housing for the chronically homeless.
Right. Tough love. This is this. Sure, tough love. And actually, I'm pretty sure what's really happening is they're just like having people flee from there, but they also build housing, which is not a thing ever requested by Prager.
Mental health and addiction services. At the same time, Turner has enforced a strict ban on public camping and promoted a citywide campaign to discourage
That is asinine. Sorry.
citizens from giving money to panhandlers.
That is also evil as shit.
The results are as instructive as they are stunning. Over the past 8 years, Houston has reduced its homeless population by 54%, while it has skyrocketed in West Coast cities.
I mean, it would be reasonable, I feel, to assume that maybe they didn't actually help the homeless. The homeless just moved to the West Coast here.
Different policies, different results. Where a Seattle politician opposes hosing down feces-covered sidewalks because hoses are racist,
Yes. Don't have cultural sensitivity or anything like that. Screw that.
Houston fights in the courts for the right to clean up encampments. Where California progressives push for more drug injection sites and have decriminalized thefts under $950.
They're getting very specific here, aren't they? Also, seriously, it's not.
Houston imposes consequences not only for theft, but for aggressive panhandling, window washing.
Okay, this one is just downright. I know what they mean. Like you're at an intersection, you stop and someone comes up, washes your window. Shh. I'm assuming that that's the situation. But like, aren't the Americans all about if you don't have, then make your own business? Like this is people. I mean, I would categorize this as people trying their best. Like what the what the shite? Like why are you making it impossible for them? Anyway.
Other street obstructions. As this Texas city has demonstrated, local leaders in cities of any size can meaningfully reduce homelessness through a strategy that mixes compassion with common sense enforcement.
Compassion? My arse! Totally forgot that charity is a mitzvah.
If cities stop allowing public encampments and open drug consumption and start prosecuting property crimes, they will have much more success
Because drugs are the
directing the
problem.
homeless away from a life of self-destruction and toward a life of hope through mental health treatment, drug rehab, and job training. That's what we all want, isn't
Gosh
it?
darn it.
So why don't we do it? I'm Christopher Rufo, Senior Fellow at the Manhattan Institute for Prager University.
This video was made possible by a generous donation from the Thomas W. Smith Foundation.
This whole
Thank you
thing
for
is
watching this video.
wrong on
Keep
so many.
PragerU videos
Fuck you. I didn't watch it.
make it a tax-deductible donation.
The only reason this video was watched was to call out how much of a friggin' right-wing jerk fuck you are. Right. Okay. So, PragerU does have some sources, and there's one source I would like to call out. This is the very statistics on like, oh, everyone, all the homeless people are drug addicts and junk. Okay. So, okay, so here's the brief. That stuff came out of. Ooh, no, oh crud, what the heck? And this is, like many times, data is a bit fudged by incentive. So we have stuff here: physical health conditions, mental health conditions, so physical health, mental health, substance abuse. So these are just these are their stats from self-reported homeless people, which they also didn't exactly help after reporting that. So say you're like substance abuse conditions are affecting 75% of unsheltered homeless people. Okay, but how did they get to this number? Because they ask people questions, so I'm not trusting them. I didn't trust them earlier, and I had to find a bit of a text here. Figure 4 shows the percentage of individuals who responded yes to at least one of 5 questions. One of 5, or for one thing, and one of 2 for substance abuse. So they say, they say substance abuse. Now let's find out what the questions are, maybe. Because, of course, the questions aren't even listed in this thing, or the data, the raw data. Substance abuse conditions. They ask 2 questions. Has your drinking or drug use led to you being kicked out of an apartment or program where you were staying in the past? And will drinking or drug use make it difficult for you to stay housed or afford your housing? That's, like, strictly speaking, I mean, okay, great. At least it's considering alcohol a drug for a change. But, seriously, look at these questions. Either of these having a yes means they consider you as having drug addiction problems. Seriously. I mean, one could argue that maybe they shouldn't, maybe the programs shouldn't kick people out for consuming stuff presumably for recreational use, or maybe even for like self-medication. I mean, honestly, especially like think about what this means on the West Coast. You're labeled as having a substance abuse problem for simply having been somewhere where you was expected to be 100% sober, or God forbid, you can totally like drink, but you mustn't take illegal drugs. Cannabis? Oh wait, it's not illegal, but it doesn't matter. We hate we just hate people doing all the things. This is just okay. So these for for comparison, mental health conditions. Any of these with a yes literally means they consider you as having being mentally ill on the results form. So let's see what the questions are. Have you ever had trouble maintaining your housing or been kicked out of an apartment, shelter program, or other place you were staying because of a mental health issue or concern? A past head injury? I might have hurt myself at work. A learning disability, developmental disability, or other impairment. Yeah, being disabled is. I mean, people are being terrible. Do you have any mental health or brain issues that would make it hard for you to live independently because you need help? Seriously, like any of these, yes, they go. Oh, you should basically you're mentally ill. You should be sectioned. Like that's the read you're getting. And of course, then they aggregate all of these completely bogus assessments. Seriously, basically, one of these two, yes, they go and say you're a drug addict, literally on the as the interpretation. Well, okay, they go and say you have a drug addiction problem, and then PragerU goes and phrases that as you're basically an addict. It's not the housing that's the problem; it's that you're an addict. Sorry, this is just. So the thing that's like their phrasing is vexing, ha ha ha. It is aggravating that they think it's okay to talk about other people like that, and it's aggravating that they don't even have the decency to try and not be entirely like all like they don't even bother to try to come across as not right-wing facts. Like, just how? Gosh darn it! Anyway, PragerU is terrible. Nobody should ever listen to them on how to fix quote-unquote homelessness. Wait, I need fix. Because their highlighted fix basically is just like incentivize them to go elsewhere and don't actually do anything except do build housing, but don't actually say to build housing. It's just like the dude happened to be doing that. If you're chronically homeless, because now it's also chronically, now it's a medical condition, mental condition. Why did I even? Oh yeah, it was a different one about parenting advice, and that one was absolutely terrible. Anyway, sorry, I had to talk about this and just get it off my back. I am going to switch streams, and we are going to kill a few corporate shites, etc. We should have exactly enough time to finish one mission or so. So let us do this. Uh, all right. I'm recombobulating, and if I only set the stream title, somehow it doesn't actually register properly, I feel. So I just wrote a macro and I want to see if it works. See you in a second on this stream. Thanks for listening. If you did listen, I'm sorry. It's just this is these I don't know how these people sleep at night, like after being vexed like that. And